Hey, what's going on, guys? I want to talk about something that I find really interesting. So, I think one of the biggest, controversial topics these days with Trump winning cabinet, and the Republican having, God damn it, and the Republicans having primary control of Congress. One of the biggest topics that everyone is talking about is Planned Parenthood and the future of Planned Parenthood. And I find this to be very interesting. I want to first start off by saying I understand both sides. I understand pro life, I understand pro choice. I myself am more pro choice than I am pro life, even though, uh, you know, I won't get into that. Maybe in a future video. But, uh, yeah, I'm more pro-choice. Only for the fact that I think that women should have the right to choose what they want to do. And when you enable women to choose, that also enables men. If you're in a couple, then you both have the right to choose what you want to do with your potential or maybe not potential child. Um, there are scenarios in which the best thing to as fucked up as this may sound, there are situations in when the best, most optimal thing to do is to unfortunately abort a child. And that's because, if it was a surprise. Like, I remember I was arguing with someone about this, and they were saying that, well, if you weren't ready for the child, then why'd you, do the things that require you to have a child, if that makes sense. And there are scenarios in which, there are people, they take all the precautions they possibly can, and still they get pregnant. And then that's in situations like that, again, there's so many different variables, but what if that person just isn't ready to give that child a meaningful life? What if that means that they have to, if they don't abort the child, like their only other option is to put it up for adoption? Is that a better option than abortion? I don't know. It's a very deep moral conversation to have, but I think that I'm more pro choice. And it's not, I think that another thing that's really important to understand is that, abortion is a big deal. I think even for people that, you know, are pretty, I'm trying to use a nice word here, but are pretty free with their bodies and what they do with their bodies and whatnot. I think even those type of people, treat having a child and abortion is a big deal. So where I'm going with this is that, I think there is a group of people that see abortions as oh, if we make abortions illegal, I mean, if we make it legal, then people will just be having sex with everyone and aborting every single child. I don't think that's the case. And I think that's a perspective mostly coming from out of touch males, mostly older males. But anyways, that's not where I want to go in this video. 3 minutes into the video, this is what I find interesting about the whole topic is that they might lose their federal funding, which means that they no longer get funding from our federal government to do all the same things that they're doing currently. They can support families that want abortions, and that's not all they do, by the way. They also help women with their own hygiene, with tampons and the condoms and all that good stuff. So they provide more services than just abortion, which is kind of interesting when you think about let's get rid of this entire thing just because we don't like this one thing. So, anyways. So, to my point. My point is, what I find interesting is that I know that there's a group of people that want Planned Parenthood to lose its federal funding, and there's another group of people that want Planned Parenthood to keep its federal funding, right? And let's say, right, just for the sake of this potential historical event, that Planned Parenthood loses its federal funding. What's going to happen is the question. Uh, is Planned Parenthood gonna have to change up the business model? Are they gonna have to start charging for things and all this other stuff that they do? I don't really know if they charge. I think they're free. I might be wrong. I don't know. But will they have to change up the business model to in which they can recoup that revenue? Or or is it possible that Planned Parenthood could become the very first uh crowdsourced business? You catch what I'm going here? Is that possible? Because what's interesting, about that potential possibility is that if that were to happen, right, that actually would be a detriment to government. And here's why. Because if the people prove that they don't need you to survive, then when it comes time to some other uh, business that needs or that yeah that needs federal funding and they lose it, maybe it happens again. So um, there's two crowdfunded businesses. Then there's three. Then there's five. Then there's 10. Then there's 20. And there's 1,000. Why federal? The federal government would lose its importance as this trend starts to grow. So that's an interesting thing that I don't know how possible it is, but it is a possibility. It's something to keep in mind. It is a possibility, and it's just a thought that came to my mind when I was reading some article about federal funding versus Planned Parenthood, and I just want to throw that idea out there, or that possibility rather, and yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. We're gonna see what happens. I don't know if they're gonna lose federal funding, and if they do, what happens. But it's an interesting narrative that I definitely will continue to watch. Um, Let me know what you think about that. That's what I'm gonna end this video today. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out.